Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. Welcome back to my playthrough of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Let's continue from where we left off. Let's get to the bottom of what's going on this ship exactly, because there's some really strange things going on here. Investigation Part 2. January 9th, SS Burya, First Class, Cabin, Passageway. I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. I wish we managed to find some clue as to what speckled band might be. It's a snake. We didn't manage to investigate at all. And I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door. He's clearly glaring at us, as if to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute. What is it? Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go? Oh yes, he's completely disappeared. Yeah, where is Herlock Sholmes? He slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring that these were securely back on my wrists. We able to leave? That door leads to the second class area. It's locked. I can't open it. No, well, that stands to reason. No one wants to let the murderer escape. Gosh, she gave me a very stern look when she said that. Okay. Didn't I look at this already? That book on top of the table there really is huge. There's a pen with it too. Yes, I'm sure that the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? The writing is so neat and precise, every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. Anyway, look here. Last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin. Not our cabin, it's Kazuma-sama's. Sorry? Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. Anyway, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga has managed to uncover any new clues. Yes, we should probably find him and ask. I really wish we had a chance to look around in Miss Pavlova's cabin. What? Why you look like that? You want something? Maybe you want me to throw you out again, Oh, no. Definitely not that. Next time I have to throw you out, I show you where lobsters spend winter. Understand? Understand. Maybe I should steer clear of him until he's forgotten my face. I don't think he'll ever forget your face, Naruharu-san. Okay, what am I supposed to do right now? Well, I can't go in there. Might as well go back to Kazuma's cabin. January 9th, SS Burya, First Class, Cabin, number 1. It looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes, on that subject. I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga is unscathed. What do you mean, unscathed? Surely you hadn't forgotten, have you, Naruharu-san? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you at this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he'd lay his life on the line for you. Oh, yes. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know. Oh, wait, there he is. Is he beaten up? Ah, you're back. Inspector, what happened to you? Your face is... Please, don't worry about it. They're just scratches. Made by a bear, maybe? When I told the captain that I'd given you permission to investigate, he told me he palmed me with his fist and then tossed me overboard. What? But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard. So it was nothing, really. It looks like he wasn't joking when he said he'd lay his life on the line if he had to. Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know a little about the neighboring cabin. Yes, so I understand. Oh? I bumped into a man claiming to be a great detective a little while ago. I think his name was something like Herlock Sholmes? Yup, that's him. I don't think he was German, though. Ah, that explains it. Shall we compare notes, then? We can't tell what we found out. Yes, let's do it. The cabin next door. What? Nikolina Pavlova. She's in the cabin next door. Oh, do you know who she is? Please. What self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know that graceful angel? Oops, I think I upset him there. Well, that tells us the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case, at least. Oh? How? Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they? Now, I've definitely upset him. Inspector, has your investigation here proved fruitful? If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed, ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping watch here, trying not to take my eyes off the job. Oh, I see. In this time period, there will be major jurisdiction, issues, because the ship left Japan, it's going to Hong Kong, now, and it's involving, like, a murder of a Japanese citizen that's supposed to be traveling to Great Britain, so there'd be a lot of jurisdiction issues in, like, a ship like this. Who's gonna be, prosecuting who exactly, or who's gonna be prosecuting the case, who's gonna be investigating, like, there'd be a lot of issues in reality on this, especially in this time period. Countries didn't have the good relations they have today, back then, so it's, There's one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you. Oh, what? Yes, do tell, Inspector, please. New information. Let's see, what is that? What is this new information you have, Inspector? It's this. The Burya's medical officer has finished examination of the body. I managed to obtain the report. Oh, Kazuma's post-mortem report. Kazuma-sama. So, what was the cause of death? Damage to the cervical vertebrae is what's written in the report. His neck was broken. Yes, it would seem so. If somebody's neck was broken, they wouldn't be able to write a message out like that. They'd be dead. There was no obvious wounds or other signs of injury. So at first, I think they were considering poison. And that would be true if there was somebody, snapped his neck, there wouldn't really be that visible signs of injury unless an instrument was used. There was no poison. What weapon was used then? Nothing has been found as yet, but the fact that there are no signs of a wound. It's the snake. The snake must have snuck in and strangled him. That's maybe what happened. I think that's what happened. It was the snake strangled him. The snake came from the vent and strangled him. Suggest it may have been a blunt object, something that wouldn't leave a mark. Snake. Oh, I see. All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. It is a possibility, and no obvious wound would be left. Poor Kazuma. I have a second copy of the report. If it might be useful, you're welcome to have it. Thank you? Really? Are you sure? Yes. It's fine. I trust you. After all, if I didn't trust you, I'd never have agreed to you, leaving this cabin in the first place, would I? Ah. The post-mortem report. Okay, given the cause of death, cervical spine injury. There was no trace of external injury or poison. But then the only thing I'm curious about is the writing in Russian. That's confusing. Oh, Mr. Sholmes was here, was he? Yes. He seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crept on about the floor investigating. But then he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored. Did he say anything at all? Actually, now you mention it, yes. Just one thing, but he practically shouted it. It's shoe polish, was all he said. Shoe polish. Wonder what that means. It was when he was over there, by the piece of broken glass, do you see? Perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark. Do you think? Ah, yes, that must be it. But how could Mr. Sholmes know that it's shoe polish? That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea. What is it, Zosato-san? Well, Kazuma-sama was wearing leather shoes with a very dark tan hue. Dark tan. A sort of dark brownish red, then. Yes, a little like the color of red wine, but darker. I often repaired them for him. Oh, does this mean that this mark was made by the polish on Kazuma's shoes as they scuffled on the floor? A piece of small glass object, or what looks like scuff marks made by Kazuma's shoes, were found by the victim's body. That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewmen's eyes are boring into the back of my head. Yes, that might be for the best. Thank you. Ahem, ahem, ahem. Poor Inspector. You look exhausted. Oh, no. Well, I feel terrible that I failed to protect Soji-san. He was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You were his friends. The truth is, I seem to have had a heavy hand ever since I woke this morning. A heavy head. That's interesting. My head's still throbbing too. Something must have knocked them out. Like a gas or something. It really is such a beautiful color, this glass. It looks like whatever it has broken, clean in two, but the other half is nowhere to be seen. And then there's this brick-colored mark, which is shoe polish, according to that great detective you seem to know all about. I suppose it must be from Kazuma-sama's shoes. Maybe, but what I'd like to know is, how can the detective be so sure that it's shoe polish and not something else? Because he's a great detective, of course. Well, you know, how he handled the last situation didn't really show that. That's hardly a reason, is it? Now this writing. So it's clear these letters were written with the ink that was somehow spilled on the floor, and they spelled a Russian word for wardrobe. It does seem to be an ambiguous pointer to you, Naruhado-san, as you were sleeping in there. But to be truly unambiguous, it should have just spelled out my name, don't you think? Well, either way, one fact remains. It's hard to imagine that Kazuma-sama would have written his last words, or word, in Russian. Which begs the question of who did write it. This is where Kazuma-sama spent his final moments, writing in his diary. 1:23 a.m., I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m., what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Looking at his writing here on this page, it's almost impossible to believe that he's gone. Kazuma-sama left us a valuable clue in these words, sure of it. We have to solve this mystery, Naruhado-san. We will. Okay. 9th January. SS Burya, first class, cabin, passageway. Ah. Look, Naruharu-san. Seaman Stroganov has gone. Strong enough? Oh, how did I not notice that? Strong enough. That's what his name is. The burly Russian sailor who's always crossing his arms and glaring at us. All these Russian names are impossible to remember. Tra-la-la. Did you hear that? It sounded like someone singing. Tra-la-la, lira, lira, lay, I did it the great detective way. This caroling. I know that lark-like voice. Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us. Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's get inside Miss Pavlova's cabin while we can and investigate. Definitely, before that stringy knot crewman comes back. It's strong enough, not stringy knot. Miss Pavlova isn't back yet. The case is open. That's different. Hey, what are you doing? Those are her private things. There's not a moment to waste, Naruhara-san. We must investigate as quickly as we can. I suppose you're right, for Kazuma's sake. Not just for Kazuma-sama. What do you mean? It can't be long now until we arrive at port in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in those handcuffs when we get there. Really? We must solve this case, Naruharu-san, by ourselves if we have to. Yes, we will. Okay. The case. This is what piqued my interest immediately. Oh my. Miss Pavlova's case is open. She didn't see that when we walked in. I did. It's completely empty inside, but according to the great detective's great deduction, she was hiding her special friend in there. Yes, a friend that she had to keep secret. Because you're not allowed to bring animals aboard the SS Burya. I wonder what kind of animals she had in there. And more to the point, where is it now? I wonder what this little saucer is doing on the floor. It's food for the snake. Yes, it doesn't look like it's been dropped. More like it was put there deliberately. Do you think there could be a leak in the roof just above here? No, it's food for the snake. Is this ship quite safe? I'm sure that even if there's a little leak in the roof, doesn't mean the whole ship is going to sink. No, you're right. Of course you're right. She's really trying to persuade herself, isn't she? There are just a few books on the desk, nothing else by the looks of it. Well, Miss Pavlova only ran away from the ballet last night. She's hardly occupied this cabin for any time at all. That's true. I wonder what kind of books she likes to read. Let me see. Yes, I see. It would seem that Miss Pavlova enjoys reading. Books written in Russian. Well, that's obvious. Thanks. I think I probably already knew that. It's rude to ask too much of people, Naruharu-san. Kindly remember that. Garbage. Maybe there's something in there. Shall we have a little look and see what's been thrown away? Naruharu-san, it's poor etiquette to go sniffing through someone's rubbish, you know. Those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. However, these are special circumstances, I think. Exactly. We have no choice. There's hardly anything in here at all. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. All the books have toppled over together. Look, every single one. Do you think that that's a god of the sea, perhaps? He's toppled Tudo? It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door, in Kazuma's cabin. Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase. No, because it wouldn't make sense why the bookcase in the other room would also get knocked over. Maybe the loud thumping that, like, Ryunosuke felt and also Hosanaga felt. Maybe that has something to do with that. There's a loud bump in the night, and it topped some things over. I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from her ballet company? Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage. Not everything bad that happens on the ship is because of me, you know. Well, anyway, I'll set them all straight again in here too. I don't like seeing things in disarray. There's one of those next to the bed in Kazuma's cabin too. Yes, it's a bell cord. I can't resist. Oh no. She barely hesitated there, and she gave it a good tug too. No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come. We don't want them to. We're trying to investigate in secret. And the closet here. Naruharu-san, are you there? Sorry, I'm right here, yes. Why? Oh, good. I thought you might have climbed into the wardrobe when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home. Believe me, I don't have some strange compulsion to jump inside every wardrobe I see, you know. Well, anyway, I'm not sure anyone could fit inside this one. It's full of beautiful outfits. I suppose they're all stage costumes. I was rather hoping we might find Miss Pavlova's friend hiding in there, but no such luck. This vent. So this ventilator connects to Kazuma's cabin next door. Yes, although what a fool a shipbuilder must be to open a ventilator into another room. Maybe it's so that if there's a gas leak next door, the occupant of this cabin would notice and raise the alarm. Or, the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning. That is a possibility. Anyway, last night, Kazuma wrote that he saw a speckled band coming out of this ventilator. I think it's the only thing we haven't looked. Ah yes, they're displayed in this cabin too. Look, the SS Burya's rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. I suppose Miss Pavlova realized that she needed to keep the contents of her case a secret after she read this. Her special friend, I mean. Wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. It's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine. I just hope Seaman Strong Enough doesn't find it and throw it overboard. Oh yes, so do I. It would seem this teapot is empty. So the natural conclusion is that the Russians are a very thirsty people. Or because Miss Pavlova only came into this cabin last night, she hasn't had a chance to make any tea yet. I mean, it could be... It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I'd lay 1,000 to 1 on it. You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruharu-san? What else is there left for me to investigate in here? I think I got everything. This cabin door is the same simple sort of bolt latches that our cabin door has. If the bolt's drawn across, there's no way anybody can enter the cabin from outside. Yes, it's not a particular heavy-duty bolt, is it? But I wonder if there's a way to lock it from the outside. But still, it wouldn't slide across of its own accord, would it? No, the door is made of metal, so there's no chance of trickery using magnets to unbolt it from the outside. But is there a way to lock it from the outside? And it seals up perfectly, too, to stop any seawater coming in. So you couldn't use the method you told me of passing Fred through a crack around the closed door either. I seem to know a lot of tricks for opening doors. I'm starting to see why they suspect me. There's something in here I'm not seeing. What could I possibly be missing in here? All the books provided for passengers occupying this cabin now are neatly arranged on the shelf. Yes, it's very unthinking to dance around inside the cabins. Tell that to Miss Pavlova, not me. Well, anyway, I feel much better now that they're neatly lined up. I can't relax when things are untidy. Okay. There has to be something that I'm missing here. I just feel stupid. It's probably right in front of my face. Hope my camera's not blocking anything here. Is it? No, it's not. I had that happen once where a camera was blocking a piece of evidence and it really sucked. I don't think there's anything else in here. All the books provided for passengers occupying this cabin neatly arranged on the shelf. They were all over the place when we first looked around, if you remember. Oh yes, and if you tidied them up, didn't you? You have to look after the ship properly. Unruly behavior in the cabin leads to damage. But it really wasn't me who knocked them over. Well, anyway, I feel much better now. They're neatly lined up. I can't relax when things are so untidy. She says the same line again. So this ventilator joins to Miss Pavlova's cabin. Yes, that's right. And just a few minutes before he died, Kazuma saw something emerging from it. The speckled band, as he described it. If only Miss Pavlova had been able to shed some light on it, but she seemed as baffled as we were. I wonder if she's telling us everything, though. I'm not sure. I know most people aboard would say the same about me, but there was something about that woman that didn't sit right with me. Where did you go? Oh, sorry, I just went to the next door cabin to investigate. Why? Who gave you permission for this? Well, Seaman Hosanaga did. That new Japanese, was it? Later, I will roll him into a ball and throw him in a cold room. Ooh, he's gone back to guarding the door. I hope Inspector Osnaga doesn't find himself in too much trouble on our account. He's really gone out of his way to help us, hasn't he? Well, he kind of owes us after the first case. When we get back to Japan, we'll have to take him for a steak at La Carnival again. That could be a very long time from now, Naruharu-san. Oh, what's this? Herlock Sholmes is here? I didn't even notice this now. This is what I was looking for. It's Mr. Sholmes, look. Wow, you never know where he's going to turn up next, do you? He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself. He's singing again. I did it the great detective way. He's still singing. Do you think he hasn't noticed us? Or he's simply in extremely high spirits? Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when the yard bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was doubt, it's lucky Herlock was about. Excuse me. I solved it all, and I stood tall. I did it the great detective way. Mr. Sholmes. What is it? You want to fight, Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing, I was just about to reach the climatic finish. Sorry, I thought you were never going to stop. I figured now is a good time as any. I very nearly dropped you to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. Alright, I get the picture. Now could you put those fists away? Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you. Ah, yes, that. I was immersed in study of the ship's log, as penned by the stockily built crewman who's usually on guard here. Oh yes, the ship's log. And did you find anything useful from it? Well, after 2 a.m. this morning, the majority of the entries are blank. Which means that there was nothing to report, nothing of note happened, so... What is he laughing about? You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it. Ha ha ha. Sorry? Your logic, my boy, is inverted. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Observe the other pages, and all shall become clear. It would seem the same crewman stands sentry in this first-class passageway, and he has an almost religious practice of recording nothing to report every half hour. Oh, he writes that in every 30 minutes. Nothing to report. Precisely. Put simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that. And yet, the ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report. That's actually a good point. Do you mean he wasn't here? There were circumstances afoot last night which led to the seaman being absent from his post. What kind of circumstances? What happened? That remains a mystery for now, but we can be sure something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribing nothing to report in the log. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. You must log the ship's log in your mental file. There are virtually no entries from 2 a.m. until early this morning. Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective. Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is. I see what makes Sholmes Sholmes. Brilliance. Oh, ouch. What is it? Are you hurt? Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning for some reason. He has it too. Well, my friends, until our next encounter. He's still singing to himself. I can hear it as he wanders off down the passageway. Is something wrong, Zosato-san? You seem lost in thought. It's just... well, I feel the same. Sorry? Ever since I woke this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing. Everyone has had that. Ding-a-ling. What is that? That's an alarm. Shut down the engine immediately. Vessel sighted a quarter-mile 4. Full stop. Hard to starboard. All hands brace for impact. Oh great, they're gonna hit a ship. What the? I think we're about to crash into another ship. What? I can't stand. Zatu-san, hold on to me. Oh great, now this case becomes even worse. I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruharu-san. It looks like we avoided a collision. I think. Yes, the ship has come to a stop. Oh my goodness, what about you, Naruharu-san? Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Oh, great. Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosanaga. Is that you in there, Naruharu-san? Unbolt the door, quickly. What? The bolt? Wait, the door just got locked from that. That's a good point. So, the throbbing might have been the ship trying to avoid a collision in the night, and what happened was people had a headache from that. It must have happened late at night. That's why the crewman wasn't there, and so what happened was somebody left the room, closed the door, and then when the ship nearly avoided a collision or some other obstacle, it had shut the door. That's probably what had happened. Look at that. The door's bolted. Did you do that, Zosato-san? No, I didn't touch it. Well, that's strange. How did... And look at the books. They're just like they were before again. Naruharu-san, aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in? I'd better tidy this place up first. Our violent emergency stop has solved one mystery at least, in a very vivid way. But I knew that what waited on us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. To be continued. 9th January, SS Burya, Miss Pavlova's cabin. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Zosato-san took a deep breath, then gently slid back the bolt. So that shaking on the ship, that's what could have caused the bolt on the ship to close. What you are doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters? Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine. Thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. A false report. There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is chaos, passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere. The first class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm. Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? Ah, you wicked intruder dressed in all black, you are the devil. Sorry, me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is a first. You opened my traveling case. How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector. Yes? Arrest this man. I know he did it. He is a criminal. It is enough that he has killed a... Is it not enough that he has killed a man? Duh, and he is a stowaway as well. If Vixen promised not to steal chicken, do you believe? Ugh. Take him away. He is a trespasser as well as everything else. Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right, you are devil. It doesn't look good, does it? There's a cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police. Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Osanaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. Okay. What is he doing? Okay, he's there again. What the? What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes? Naturally, I was analyzing what weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no, no. Well, why were you hanging from that hook before then? Isn't it obvious to properly assess the weight of the 20,000 rubles, naturally? I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall, so full of brag and bounce. I never knew whether to take this man seriously or not. You again, the great detective. Inspector, I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time. You know what I'm beginning to suspect? Here's what I think happened. I think that her snake got loose, climbed in the vent, went into Kazuma's room and strangled him. And I think that she went into the room, realized what had happened, picked up the snake, and then probably wrote in ink that, she probably wrote in ink at that point that, the wardrobe. But the question is, how did she know that he was in the wardrobe? And then she closed the door. She probably pulled the fire alarm at that point, and that made the ship like kind of throb, and it closed the door. So the latches automatically from the shaking on the fire alarm closed the door because the ship was steering clear of a supposed other ship, but there was none. That's what I think possibly happened here. What is to report? Speak. An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yes. The case of the curious murder that took place last night here on this vessel, the steamship Burya, has been solved. By me, naturally. What? Really? Yes, I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Ha! You have solved it. Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all know who was responsible for killing student boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is the stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it. I didn't do it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. Not necessarily. Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in the detective stories. The locked room, that is point. The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn from across outside the cabin. You are all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all. What? Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. It's the vent. Why? It gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator, man. The ventilator? You think this is funny? I can't even put my arm through that hole. That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening. It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Precisely, my dear madame. But what does it mean? What is a speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There is a distant element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I'm about to expose for all of you to see will shock you to the core. Behold. Yeah, what the? What? What just happened? That. Allow me to introduce you all to the band. The speckled band. A snake. Indubitably. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Yes, you're right. I think in this case you'd have to call it the striped band, wouldn't you? You both see and observe with distinction. However, do you not think that is precisely the trap to which the culprit wishes you to fall? Really? It's a trap? How exactly? I like how strong enough it is standing with a snake over his face. I think it's perhaps I explained the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death has nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one. Last night, your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. Ah. And number two. That same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. Well, looks like we're finally getting somewhere. No. She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Sholmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asoji. It looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head. Yeah, no wonder. I would advise as little movement as possible, seamen. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. The deduction, okay. Intruder's identity. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those hard events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the riffing serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's... oh my god, is it strangling him? The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we give then, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. There's nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to that quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's, slouched skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No? I don't know what you're talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible in the cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door, using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge. The serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of a snake, whose markings change each time it sloughs its skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. A beloved speckled snake. How Mr. Osoji died. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have apprised, it would appear that there was no visible signs of injury. Ah. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost but not quite imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snake bite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There is no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now, your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to your victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't. It is telling that the victim made note of low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend. To train? Indeed, you'd put that serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more. Do you deny the snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt my logic isn't fallible. I think there's something wrong with this story. I think he died by the snake, but I don't think it was like this. I think it was strangulation. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible. You've solved the mystery. Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Sherlock Holmes become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? But of course, what's on your mind? It's just, about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madame. And reptiles, don't drink milk. Ah. It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it will be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah. Yes, so I'm not sure it would really be possible to signal a snake by whistling. But madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute? I'm not an expert, but I think that when the snakes come out of the basket, I don't think it's the music. I think it's something else that they come out of the basket for. I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. That might be it. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears. These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There is one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins. Then it should try harder. Please, don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if snakes had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. Well, everyone's silent right now. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean... Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down to your wrists again. What? You've done it again. Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not, I shall see they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Okay, let's try to correct this. Intruder's identity. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those hard events, your aching heart smarts with pain. She does have a pained expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment and really look closely at Miss Pavlova. What else is causing her pain? What is this? Claw scratch? A claw scratch?
Yes!
Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I'm sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected. Another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze now, Rahado-san. That's where we'll find the answer. What's the true identity of her friend? What is on this frame? What's... Able to zoom in? I'm not,
Yes!
You were looking over at this framed photographic print, weren't you, Miss, Pavlova? But let's not be distracted by the print itself. Oh no. It's the frame that oh no, I messed up now. Yeah, this is definitely messed up. Oh, well. Okay, yeah. Well, I still got 4 chances. Maybe the pet is hiding inside the teapot? I doubt that,
Yes!
I think I messed up again. I don't think it's not the teapot then. I thought that because the teapot was empty, I remember there could be something inside. The only thing that's left is strong enough, but I don't think that he can't fit through the vent. Small enough to pass through the ventilator. I'm starting to get confused. What? The friend is small enough to pass through the ventilator. What else could it be?
Yes!
It's not this, because I know the music will stop when you call out the right thing, but I don't know what I'm supposed to see here. There's something I'm missing exactly here. I only got 2 chances left. The only other thing is the semen, strong enough, but I don't see anything else that could be it. I don't see anything else that could be it. I'm getting a bit confused now. What else could it be? Yeah, I'm about to mess up. Like, I got like 2 chances left.
Yes!
I messed it up again, but like I don't see anything else in the room. That's the thing. I'm doing so well so far, but now I'm really messing up. Like, oh wait, you can zoom in? Oh my god. Oh my god, I feel like a moron right now. Oh my god. I literally had like, guys, I was literally running around the room for like 30 minutes. Literally just now, I just cut it all out. and just running around like 30 minutes trying to figure out what else it could be. Oh, can I zoom in on this? Oh my god, I can. I knew it was the photograph, but every single time I chose the photograph, you would say the frame instead. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is major fail right now. This is just, oh my god, this is just, oh my god, okay. So it's the cat in the frame. The cat is what scratched her. Little kitten, this is it.
Yes!
We got it, oh my god. Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. I didn't know you could zoom in that section. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band. Well, that snake really doesn't like him. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we, then give, pray? What was the slight sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you were trying, but failing to conceal, can only be a snake's louse skin. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she just left it in her pocket, no one would ever known. Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Shum's speciality. He's even so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his speciality, or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that that's the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? That's the only thing that I can really... Well, it is speckled, and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy, a long piece of cloth of some sort. And that looks like a handle at one end. I think it may be a cat's toy. This is sword is common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens, in particular, love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. Haha, that sounds positively adorable. Okay, so like, man, I gotta be really careful because I only got one chance.
Yes!
Yes, the thing you are trying to, but failing to conceal is a cat's toy. Precisely, and the true nature is now infamous speckled band. And it was this toy you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. And her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin. Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of a cat by the name of Darka. A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. The photograph of Miss Pavlova and Darka has been entered in the court record. It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Darka, she is so naughty. A beloved kitten. How Mr. Asoji died. Oh, now we're getting to something here. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter. The grim demise of the victim. I'm gonna save right here. Okay, I saved just to be safe. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear that there was no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. No. What Mr. Somshed says is true. There was no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma's body, that's right. But Mr. Shone seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. Okay, this.
Yes!
In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Yes, I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman strong enough isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Presumably, Darka didn't silently creep behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose. It's possible he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe a Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? Anything from the scene? He might have tripped on this. A piece of small glass scuff mark made by Kazuma's shoes were found by the victim's body. This might be it. Probably best to save again. The reason I'm saving a lot is because I only got one chance left.
Yes!
Mark on the floor. I think that's it. He might have tripped on it. Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed, positively identified by little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results. The undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Asoji's lace leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asoji must have caught his foot at the point on the floor and tripped. Please no. And by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Was that the cat's toy that he caught his neck on? Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instance, he lost his life. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asoji lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. No? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the marks on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But... and if this part of Mr. Shon's deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. What was she trying to hide? This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them. Okay. Let's see, though. Is there anything in the garbage? Oh, there it is. There's the evidence. Broken piece of glass. Right here, this.
Yes!
That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in the waste paper basket. Ah. Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem. One is a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor of Mr. Asoji's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no. So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of the glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the wastebasket in your cabin? You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know in that hushed Russian accent of yours. Won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be... oh, right here, this is it. That's the bell.
Yes!
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darka's collar, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly auspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka. So I don't believe it. There was no murder. He just tripped. And she tried to cover it up. I couldn't. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Death by tripping over a cat. Oh my god, that's how Kazuma died? And we thought that there was a murderer loose on the ship. I honestly can't believe it. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquire the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it. Yes. And I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it was safe to try to lure the kitten back again, by dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin. Darka always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seemed likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass belt and tripping up. The SS Burya is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Asoji was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case, and now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is as insufferable restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine has died. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what has happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right. Where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it, and where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board this ship? That's his snake? Oh, I didn't say? Snake is my friend. His name is Piroshko. What? What? The snake is Stronganov's friend? He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I didn't expect to find him in here. Yes, How did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. Ha! We are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friend, without someone who understands? Couldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake, surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Hiroshiko does not have venom. He is harmless, very long, very gentle. He is adorable like Granny. I wouldn't say that. It's venomous. Yes, now he is hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Ha! Like they say milk, chicken's ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only stupid stories. Hiroshiko eats mouses, big fat round mouses. Ah, oh. So, is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for? Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. Oh, look at Shome's face right now. It refuses to drink milk. It can't hear a whistle. It can't climb up a bell cord, and it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Piroshko is nothing to do with this incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. Miss Pavlova, I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then, no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But, what are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. No, she didn't. She didn't confess to writing on the ground. It was just a series of unfortunate events and accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Shomes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh. I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Not again. When did he do that? But he knows I'm not guilty, especially as they're on your wrist as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were Mr. Shomes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. About how that senior cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident, or was it in fact no accident at all? This is what we must establish in the first instant. Well, we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense that that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts, Miss Pavlova's story here. Did she strangle him? The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin, it's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. And I think it's time to save also, again, to make sure we don't mess this up and fail and have to restart all over again. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. I mean, the message.
Yes!
The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Asoji could have left this message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people wouldn't leave a dying message in their native language, Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry, what do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Asoji could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death, so he died right away. Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything. Because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asoji's cabin. A remnant of something that could possibly have been there if what Miss Pavlova told us was true. What? So Zosato-san has noticed it too, then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words... Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. The ship's log, I think that's what it is.
Yes!
What point are you trying to make with that evidence? Well, I was trying to make the point that Stronganov wasn't on duty, so maybe the alarm went off. I made a mistake. Okay. The absence of something you expect to find at the scene of an accident, or the presence of something you wouldn't. I believe in you, Mr. Naruhodo, more than Mr. Sholmes does anyways. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. It's in the cabin. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Wonder if it's the speckled band that's missing. I got 4 chances left here. What could it possibly be here? Let's check out the diary. The speckled band, it might be that.
Yes!
No, it's not it. Damn. I'm messing this up right now. Damn, this is probably easy and it's right in front of me. I'm normally great at investigation games, but I feel like I'm missing something here. Wait, it will be this, because what about the other half of the bell?
Yes!
Yes, it's the other half of the bell. Why would that be back in her room? Right, or the glass. Yes. I'm sorry, guys. I just realized that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell, so we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there is a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Exactly. Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass belt in the waste paper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both those pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Asoji died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged this scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Asoji's. You are wasting time. Someone else was there? Duh, of course, we know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. Not true. Remember when the alarm went off, this door would automatically close.
Yes!
It's true. I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I would have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Ha ha ha. Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in this question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor. In an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor, for the fear of it becoming evidence that would show Mr. Asoji really died. Well, why wouldn't this person have taken all pieces of the bell anyway? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would barely have cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder, then, the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Seaman strong enough. Nina is woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills, and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on this ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse Ship's Angel of being criminal. Ah, so that's it. You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth. Well, this is almost interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure? You are a great detective, you should know. Look truth in eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into the cabin, not Nina, not anyone. Or you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Niet, it's impossible. Ah, he's right. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie threads around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside. Thread? Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel with not a gap in sight, no threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. It's the alarm. The alarm, when the ship starts shaking because it believes it's going to hit another ship, the force of, turning the ship is what caused the door to lock. But Mr. Naruhito suggested it earlier, so Zosato-san, how could you shift it onto me like that? So Seaman Strongenough has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind having been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhito? I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin from the outside. One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know what Mr. Shones means, Mr. Naruhito? Yes. And so should you. Because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So, would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhito? Point out the telling signs, the method that was used to slide the cabin door, from the outside. Okay. It's gonna be the alarm. Okay. I guess I'm gonna save here. This is it. This shows how it was done. It certainly shows that something was done. I concur. In fact, it's an excellent way to show how easy it is to jump to the wrong conclusion. Oh. But a truly dismal way to show how the bolt could made. Surely can't really possibly make the bolt slide without touching it at all, can it? I'm sure that it is. Something is in the back of my mind tells me so. Okay, hang on. The bookcase, I'm pretty sure, is one of them.
Yes!
Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe. Yes, it's what's known as the Force of Inertia, acting on the objects. Is there nothing Zosato-san doesn't know? Or is that isn't in her book at least? Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. Ah. It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had come into this cabin not long before, and we hadn't bolted the door. But then, remember, the door got bolted because the ship made an emergency stop. Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like Inspector Hosanaga. Oh yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door. Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the Force of Inertia, if you want to call it that. Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Osoji was killed, she pulled the alarm? Was that force that did it? That locked it? Yep. The SS Burya made another emergency stop? When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? Then when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Osoji's cabin. Oh my. Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Are you out of your mind? You say Burya made emergency stop? It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it is simple enough. Huh? Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm. Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there, telling you to only press the button in times of emergency. On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Wait, it was you? When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings, and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it did a little earlier today. So he hit the button earlier? Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with the ship? I report you to Captain, you are in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learned a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider... Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asoji, did this ship make an emergency stop or did it not? You are idiots. Burya is a huge ship with many passengers. If we make emergency stop even in the middle of the night, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? The book. He wasn't at his post. Do show us, good man. What evidence promotes the fear that some emergency gripped the vessel last night? Ship's log. Because remember, look, there was nothing to report at those times there. 2 to 5 a.m., nothing to report. 2:30 to 5:30.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff. It's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right? Da. That is correct. Why? And the ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties. What are you doing with that? That is mine. Ah, you rather carelessly left it atop the makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took into our care of a mind to return it to you later. I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase nothing to report every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log. That is... because nothing happened. Not true, because remember, let's look at the thing again. He would always write that there was nothing to report, but he didn't write nothing to report, which means he wasn't at his post at the time. He was somewhere else. But if nothing happened, you would normally write nothing to report, wouldn't you? Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened. Here aboard the SS Burya. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish. If I'm perfectly honest, I find it a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed. Remember all the thumping that people had on their heads? That was probably it. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we had all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine anybody would sleep through that, even if it had happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it. Ah. Oh, yes, I have had a headache. You're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right. My head's been throbbing today, too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe, because something must have caused everyone to pass out. Then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo. You boarded the vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact. I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right. He didn't touch it. Is that relevant? Wait, don't tell me that there was something in the food. My dear fellow, does that not strike you? There was something in the food. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No, really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night has been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a sulfuric designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. A sleeping drug. Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course, that's what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. What the hell is going on here? I thought this was a simple accident, but now this is turning into a conspiracy. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible, unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. Oh my god. Well, Seaman? I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would to be an inquiry made for the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals. For aiding and abetting a renegade. Please, no more. I will tell everything. Eh? I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes. So when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help. Everyone together. She threw away everything. Her fame in the ballet. Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. So it looks like Herlock isn't that bad of a detective after all. You are right, we put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. Duh, we could not make all drug, how do you say? Dissolve. Ugh, talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by comrade on shore with a small fishing boat. While all the passengers of the SS Burya slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing poison their evening meals had contained. So if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. Look at the conspiracy this turned into, but how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins, after which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite, and accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway, and so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the doors locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. You have talked long time and said many things. What is point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But... I don't know about any of this. I'm just a little girl. You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories. We don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. A laudable trait. What? I am quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh yes. Do you hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt on the wind. What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry. You've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No. You must hear it with your eyes. For observation is the basis of all deduction. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come for one final logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth. Oh, here we go. So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow, just as I said. Of these two prevaricators. Observation. If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Soji's death. What we're looking for is some trace evidence that one of these two was there when it happened. Precisely. You were delightfully quick to grasp a meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace evidence that shows someone was there last night when Kazuma died. What suggests someone was there? What do we got here? Oh, look at this. It's some kind of stain. It's an unusual place. Yes, you're right. We know what that is. That's when he tried to write it down. Look at the color, too. It's clear where this came from.
Yes!
Semen strong enough. You seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Eh? Ah, yes. I don't know where that dirt comes from. So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain. What are you trying to say? It would appear that the significance of this stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stronganov's uniform. And I think what made it is clear. Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves what the stain on the back of Stronganov's uniform really is. It's from this.
Yes!
Yes. Isn't this photograph and the ink it shows? That's what caused the stain on your uniform. Ink? A rather unusual color of ink. Purple. Ah. The penny drops. At last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same color. If the ink has been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means you must have been present in the cabin, moments immediately after the ink was spilled. Alright, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in dead student's cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I pressed button to make Burya do emergency stop and bolt cabin doors shut. I did everything so no one would suspect or Angel. Biff, please. Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty patrolling passageway. Then our Angel came to me. She was white like sheet. Biff, please. You must help me. I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw a student boy on the floor. What happened here? Please don't tell anyone. My little one, my little furry friend. Everything that happened in the cabin is like Angel told you. The kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asoji's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell to the floor? Yes, that is right. So after the incident, when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers, only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No Angel. The door was not locked, so she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind. What? When you went to Mr. Asoji's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. When Nina opened the door of student's cabin and looked inside, I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova? Da. Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Kazuma's death at last? Something very nearly slipped my mind. Oh, Mr. Sholmes? The photograph. Yes. I took this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck. Therefore, the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there's one particular area in this photograph that seems somewhat unnatural. What do you mean, unnatural? What are your thoughts on this matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well. If Kazuma tripped and fell over by some terrible stroke of bad luck and broke his neck, which part of the photographic print seems unnatural? I think it might be the finger, because if if you fell, you wouldn't like hold your finger out like that. Man, this is getting more complicated. I mean, the writing, we already know that he made the writing.
Yes!
This word in Russian clearly wasn't written by Kazuma. So if you're looking for something unnatural, that's the obvious point. Very true. It certainly is particular, but it's not what I meant by unnatural, I'm afraid. That particular crash detail was orchestrated by the culprit. I mean to identify another point. Oh, I see. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. In my opinion, if you landed as the victim appears to have done here, it will be almost natural, I'm sure. You'll reach the same conclusion. How thoughtful you are, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you for your gentle guidance. The hand, probably.
Yes!
It must be here, surely. Oh, I guess not. Okay, we're gonna skip this. I'll save just to be safe here. Would you land as the victim have? What of your hands? Well, I pointed that out, the finger, earlier. You look like a sort of fellow who stumbles with some regularity. That should be an easy task. Why do I? I mean, I'd say it's the finger.
Yes!
Okay, there's something else I'm missing here. I thought it was the finger, but now I'm...
Yes!
Alright, if you really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this fist just doesn't seem quite right. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. But you could argue the same thing about the finger. That's the point, is that you're not gonna fall flat with like a finger like that open. Like all your things in this one finger. Almost, you might say. As though he were gripping something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did. And what, pray, do you imagine I found there? My dear fellow. Mr. Sholmes? Show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madame. Would I keep you in suspense? This is what I found. That's her earring. Why does he have her earring in his hand? Unless he was fighting her. Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Yes, you're right. A crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us? It tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks... It looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Observation, Mr. Naruhodo, that's the key. What? The truth is now tangentially close. How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist? That is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? The only way he could have had that is if he had some contact with her when he was still alive. That's the only way I can think of. She has such petite ears among that beautiful hair, like little pink shells. What's that? There's something dangling down from her ear. Yes, that's an earring. Wait, look. It's a crescent moon. Ah. There can be no doubt now, surely.
Yes!
Miss Pavlova, on your ear there. I see you have a crescent moon as well. Ah. What? And on your other ear. There seems to be a crescent moon missing. The little link holding it on must have broken, I suppose. Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there is only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Asoji must have grasped that crescent moon, pulled it from your ear, perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night in Mr. Asoji's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. But then the question is, why did Mr. Asoji do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh no. Angel. No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? Ah. Did she kill him? The only way I can think of is he was fighting her. Running away to fishing boat in the middle of the night. And then, when I was last in this cabin, and I could relax after this horrible long day. Darka, wait. I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her a favorite toy, but nothing worked. Darko would not come back. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. The young man from your country. He was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, and I was going to leave the man's cabin... Just a moment. Sorry, but... Oh, yes? I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah. Ah, of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina. Huh? No. I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. So you've run away. Please, please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust him? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait, I shouted, and then... Darka jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet. And... as he turned around to look at me... I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. So it's a murder. And that's when you went to fetch help from Seaman Strongenough, who was on duty out in the passageway. But Kazuma wouldn't have told anyone regardless. He was just gonna tell Ryunosuke about what happened. I heard Nina cry out and fall on the floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like leaf. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Biff. If they find out, I will be. Please, I have nowhere to go." So you decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Kazuma's cabin to make it look like I did it. So that no one would suspect a passenger in the cabin next door. Yes. I went in the cabin and I looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. And then I found Stowaway, in wardrobe, still sleeping. Right. That's when he found me. So you worked out a plan to lay the blame on the Stowaway. I closed wardrobe doors and put back strange paper sign. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Zosato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged young man's body to a good place and used ink that was spilling to write on floor. I wrote, so that person who found him would look inside wardrobe and find Stowaway. And tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up. I see. But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half. The angel went back to her cabin, and I finished job by pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway. Yes. Accordingly, the SS Burya did indeed come to an emergency halt at a little after 2 a.m., thus enticing the bolt on the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. But they poisoned the food earlier before the incident happened. Why? There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said that you told Kazuma about the fact you ran away from your homeland, and it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. He said an inspector was his friend. Ah, yes, meaning me, who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull the bell cord, May I stop you for a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asoji really gonna pull that bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruharu? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but... He was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done. No, he was walking over to it. He was gonna pull that cord. He was gonna make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There is one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yes. What action was the victim really about to take at the moment? Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was directed? First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy, I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in that wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for this entire voyage. So this is how the cabin looked last night, when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama. Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all matters of truth. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So, when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at? The wardrobe. My wardrobe. I was in there the time, of course, sleeping soundly, too soundly. If only I hadn't eaten that chicken that was laced with the sleeping drug. If only he'd woken me up. Then maybe this tragedy would never have happened.
Take that!
The wardrobe. Considering everything that had happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord, yes. However, what is directly besides bell cord, the wardrobe? The wardrobe. And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Ah. Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asoji's exact words last night? Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. Another opinion. Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asoji intended to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if between them they might be able to help in some way, no doubt. Oh, no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Asoji was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. So she killed him for nothing. Miss Pavlova. I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did, and that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really. I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Burya was finally laid to rest. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now then? Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Mr. Sholmes can do that. So she won't be going back to Russia then. No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she will be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life. I see. I'm sorry. Seeman strong enough? I wanted to help her, Angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you, about how you lost a good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police. That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Kazuma's death feels like such a waste, but... Well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Da. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes. I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So, you should get back to your cabin now. It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun then. To think that only days ago Kazuma and I were laughing together how we teared up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Zosato-san? Naruhito-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Osanaga just told me I should pack, you know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all. I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over just like that. Zosato-san? He had such grand ideas for his visit to Great Britain, so many dreams, and now they've been cruelly taken away, just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth, that it was just an accident, just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhito-san. It's just too much. I wouldn't say it was necessarily an accident. At most, it was maybe manslaughter. Or, manslaughter. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Inspector, my duty was to see a Soji-san safely to Great Britain, but I failed, and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've let everyone down. And I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now, at least. Huh? Why do I have that on my... Surprise, Mr. Naruhito? What? What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I decided to restore them, for old time's sake, shall we say. You are a stowaway after all. He thinks this is funny. Mr. Sholmes. We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you, from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, and though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences. The loss of your companion is truly heart-rending. I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was a stowaway. The terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be. In the light of Mr. Asoji's unfortunate death, I'm afraid that study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no. I don't care for me, but... Poor Susato-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, Sir Early. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer here. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes. Miss Zosato. Yes. Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? Ah. But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo. That's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody can learn all this in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector. Every single day. Will you let me try? And if by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Kazuma, he said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Zosato? I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, it's madness. Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating. Duty and rules are the dual routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest, give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character, no? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes, from the early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector, after all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next, and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer? I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all. Thank you. And, Mr. Naruhodo, I'd like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in the Asoji clan for generations. Very well, I accept. I'll treasure it, always. So then, Miss Zosato, it seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. It will be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you too. Goodness, what is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times? What? What? I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior. No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away, and the cabin door was locked from the inside. No, I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should have never thrown you, and not just once, but 5 times. I like how she counted. The number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take hold of me and throw me, do it. Don't ever think about it. No, I don't even know how. I never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling. Oh, well, in a way, it's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jiu-jitsu technique. Apparently it's called the Zosato Takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. How beguiling. I'm a practitioner of the combative arts myself. I am a somewhat accomplished boxer. There he goes, dancing around again. I wonder if you'd be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw. Yes, I'd be honored. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam. Oh, of course. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Oh. As you can see, you've thrown from the abdomen. Oh yes, arresting indeed, and that is what you termed the Zosato Takedown, is it? Actually, no, that was a Zosato Squash. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Karuma. That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asoji clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely? A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryanosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two. Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain, and I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Oh, of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. That important thing he had to do. I still don't know what that was. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. guess that's it. Man, that was a pretty long case for just the second one. So I guess we'll finally be going to Great Britain now. So I guess that's it for this part. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like, and I'll have the next case for you guys as soon as I can. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, everyone.